you make a huge difference when I needed a sandwich.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, the only time people cared was when it snowed.
Yeah.
Man, I hated
For those
that
of
job.
you that didn't know, David drove a bread truck.
Yeah,
so,
I did. That was that was a dark day in my life.
Day.
Yeah, a long time.
You're listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, where HIPAA and humor collide to make learning fun. Your delightful hosts are Donna Grindle and David Sims. Relax, HIPAA help is on the way.
Welcome to episode 318 of the Help Me with HIPAA podcast. My name is David Sims of HIPAA Firm MSPs, and joining me is Donna Grindle of CARD. Finally, joining me is Donna Grindle of CARD.
Look, don't give me a hard time about technical issues. I don't have time to deal with my own stuff.
Never buy a car from a mechanic. They don't have time to fix your own stuff.
It's been that kind of week.
Yeah, it has been. So today we asked the question, are you cyber smart?
Are you now? Are you?
Are you? If not, we're going to tell you how.
How are you now?
So for those of you who don't know, and we talk about this every year, but October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And I know some of you are thinking, what do you mean? I've been aware of cybersecurity every month. It all started with this thing called SolarWinds. Now that's all we hear about. Mm-hmm. And you'll be hearing more and more and more about it. So I've been seeing a lot of high profile breaches and hacks that have happened this week. And we're not even talking about those. Yeah. Just because we're trying to get away from always talking about the ransomware attacks of the week. It's crazy.
Not good stuff.
Yeah, it's an epidemic.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And so it gives you time, the reason we're doing it now, it gives you time to prepare to take part in the Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So we're going to talk about how you can do that and get free. Yes, I said it. Free. It's the only 4-letter word we can use. Free material. So you can do all this stuff. Not going to cost you a dime, just your time.
Oh, I knew it was coming. As soon as it came out, I knew you were going to have to do it.
I know.
Yep. You can't control yourself.
Can't do it. So, but before we get into that, we do have some announcements, I think.
Do we?
Really? First of all, be sure to leave a review of today's show. And only if it's 5-star. If it's not going to be 5-star, just have another cup of coffee and, move along.
Send us an email. Tell us why you can't give us 5 stars.
Yeah.
If you just send an email, I can't give you 5 stars, and then is the subject, and then inside, you only have to put one word, David, and then just send.
I'm just going to say you're not cyber smart.
Well, we do have an announcement, though. A big one.
Okay.
That I didn't tell you about.
Here we go. See, I can clean this mess up.
I would like to say happy birthday, David.
Hey,
it's the big 5-0 right now, today. Mm-hmm. I'd like to welcome you to the decade where your body begins to tell you, remember the shit you did when you were 15?
I'm now cashing the checks that my earlier self wrote.
Yeah. One day you'll get up and you'll feel something and your body will go, yeah, you totally forgot about that wild night when you were 23.
I forgot about that the next day.
I know, right? Yeah, but your muscles do not, and your motorcycle accident, all that stuff, you will be reminded of it more often than not these days. It's not going to get better, but the fun does.
Yeah, I woke up this morning to my stepson screaming 5-0, and of course I thought it was the police, so I jumped out the back door and took off running into the woods. Before I realized it was my birthday. I came out of the woods in my underwear and went back to bed.
Well, I am, I would be remiss to miss a big one like this and not taunt you a little bit with where it's all going. And the fact that you're already so gray.
I had it cut out. Look at that fresh cut.
Yeah,
Which
you did.
I had a horror story about that. The first time ever, and I've been going to a barbershop for all my life. The lady who is fairly new to barbering, she did a decent job on the cut, but I also get my neck shaved, and they do old school straight razors.
Oh.
She apparently doesn't know how to use it very well because for the first time in my life, I had to come and patch up my neck. Just say that. I have some wounds on the back of my neck where she did not hold the razor properly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did
I tell you about my wife taking me to an escape room?
Yes, you did,
Okay.
but I don't know if you shared it.
I don't know if I talked about it.
It was fun.
I don't know if I talked about it on last week's podcast or not.
Yeah.
Because I've talked about it in other places. My wife has a podcast too, and I talked about it there, so I get confused as to where I've talked about it. But long story short, she took me to an escape room, which I love escape rooms. For some reason, it reminds me of my first marriage. Just always trying to get out. But anyway. Yeah, I know. So the story of the escape room is you're on a train and it's headed toward this place where it's going to, go over a bridge that's out. And so you got to solve all these clues. And so we're doing this thing and you have an hour and we get down to the last part of it and the last part of the clues. And there's and we've got probably too many people involved in this because you can't have too many people trying to solve problems, right? And I hand my wife a piece of paper that I found that was the instructions on how to drive the train. And at the same time I hand her those instructions, her son plugs these capsules into this little control board, and all of a sudden we hear this noise come over the speaker and says, "You have 30 seconds before your train goes across the bridge." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's great." So instead of reading the paper, she decides she's just going to look at the map of where we're going and make a determination about what to do with the train. So she's like, "Okay, looks like we're going in the right direction, full steam ahead." And so she grabs the little thing and she pushes it all the way up, full steam ahead. And then the person running the escape room comes walking in and says, "You're all dead." And my mom's like, "What do you mean we're all dead?" And they're like, "Did you not read the paper? It told you had to make a turn to get on a different set of tracks." I'm like,
and she's holding the paper.
Yeah,
still,
she's like, "Oh yeah, the paper that I didn't have a time to read." And so I turned around and looked and I'm like, "Great, my 50th birthday is a train wreck already."
But boom. There you go. We're there. It is officially today a train wreck.
Yeah. I have to say though,
Let's get it started.
I'm always excited that my birthday falls on Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Because I was born on Friday the 13th. So I always tell people it's my lucky day, Friday the 13th. 13th is my lucky number. It just freaks people out. The superstitious people go all nuts today. So I like it. I like it.
Well, and the scary thing for me is my brother is your age, except November the 13th. So he will be exactly 50, just right behind you on the 13th, a Friday the 13th, all of those things. And it's why I think I can't get that gum off my shoe that's you. But happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I've worked long and hard to get here.
Yes.
My wife tells me I'm having a midlife crisis, which I then said, so I'm making it to 100? That's awesome.
Yeah. Statistical likelihood of you being over 100. Well, for people in our age group living to past 100, it's starting to go way up.
Yeah. Well, I've got
right now it's like 88 or something.
I've got a grandmother who will be 96 in a few weeks, and she's still kicking. I mean, she ain't showing no signs of slowing down. Still lives by herself. Whole 9 yards.
When I turn 96 and we're still doing this podcast, we'll see how old you'll be. I'll have to do the math. It's a while.
All right. Well, even though I'm gray, let's talk about somebody who is not. And this is going to roll into our HIPAA.
Say what?
So, there are some people that can just rock a beard and goatee, and few people can do it like Eric Decker.
That's true. That's true. Absolutely.
But he sends us a note, a message. And in a previous episode, I had mentioned that there was an account that was hacked, an Outlook account that was hacked, even though they had MFA enabled. And so he sent a message responding to that and, saying that we were discussing that. And he said, even though neither of us went down that rabbit hole, this is probably what may have happened. So he says, it probably happened in one of two ways. Number one, spoofed email that looked a lot like the production account, and the person was engaging in a dialogue. So we definitely see that happening. It's fairly easy to do, actually, to create one of those fake logins. The other thing that could have happened is they have the Office 365 with MFA on the web portion, but they keep legacy authentication enabled on the tenant, which lets you connect with IMAP in the back end without the 2FA. And he says this is such a common mistake if people don't know it exists. So in keeping with being cyber smart today, we are letting you know that exists. And then he finishes up and says, see, I listened to your podcast.
He was so proud of himself. Thank you, Eric.
Yes. So, Eric, shout out to Eric Decker for listening.
Yeah. He's a busy guy. Does a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And,
I know.
We do appreciate it.
He's like,
now.
Yeah. All right. You ready to get into it?
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. So let's talk about how to get involved in Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And we want to introduce you to how to be a Cybersecurity Awareness Month champion.
Wow.
It is a thing.
Yes. Yeah. So we signed up all three of our entities. So Cardin and Help Me with HIPAA and Security First IT are all cybersecurity champions every year. And it gives us access to all this other information. And again, it's the free stuff, much like this podcast.
Yeah.
So all you got to do is, we used to call that the programmer's last words. All you got to do is, but you register and it gives you access to, there's a video of a webinar they did telling you all the things that you can use. It gives you graphics. It gives you articles to write for blogs. It gives you emails to send to employees, social media posts, which you could use internally or externally. There's a ton of things that's freely available so that you can have a full month of getting people cyber smart.
Mm-hmm. 'Tis true. And, for those of you who may not go to look at our show notes, you can sign up at staysafeonline.org. Follow the links. There's some other things after that URL, but I'm not going into that. Just click on there should be a blue banner at the top that says Become a Cybersecurity Awareness Month Champion. You click on that, it'll take you to the page and you can sign up there. Again, free. And and another unusual thing that they do, a lot of times people give you stuff for free when you sign up, but they also inundate you with crap in your inbox or sell it to other people. Personally, I've not seen that with these folks. I don't see junk coming in, and I don't see them selling my stuff. Kind of a bad side note here. I was looking at, I'm currently looking at refinancing my home, and my sister says, go to lendingtree.com and see what they do.
God.
Dude, I put my information in just because I wanted to get the quote unquote free quote that shows up on the page. Kid you not, Donna. I kid you not. Within 1 minute of clicking submit, I had 3 phone calls, 4 emails, and 2 text messages. within a minute of doing that, dude,
pounce.
I was mad. So I'm unsubscribing to all these. I'm blocking these numbers. I'm like, no. But anyway, these guys don't do that. They're not going to do that. So don't worry about giving your email address. Everything they send out is valuable.
Yeah, they'll send out, hey, we're doing another event, or get the news for next year's. But yeah, it's not, none of that crap happens.
Yeah. The other cool thing too is about this website, staysafeonline.org, and it's from the National Cybersecurity Alliance, is there's a ton of resources here too. We're talking about a specific month, Cybersecurity Awareness Month. But if you're looking to put together, whether it's a program within your organization, or you're just looking for cool infographics or videos or things like that you can use, maybe you have to present on something at your company, there's tons of resources there, and again, free.
Indeed.
So get over there and get anything you can get for free on these things, because one of the biggest pushbacks I hear, other than we ain't got time to do that, is I don't know where to find the resources, or I can't afford the resources, or don't have whatever. Look, I can't help you with the time part, but I can show you where you can get all the resources you can stand.
Yeah. And it doesn't require any kind of special knowledge other than go to the website, you download a zip file, and it's loaded with graphics and, just plenty of stuff to use.
Yeah.
And it even steps you through in what they call the toolkit. There's a PDF that steps you through all the things to do. It tells you about the month. It gives you your champion materials, explains them to you. And then goes into explaining each part of the theme, how to use it. You can put it on your website, which I ain't got time for that. But you get sample emails. All of that content comes in. And then for each section, so they do the kickoff is on October 1st, because it's a Friday, so it's not a full week. And they do a kickoff on that day, and it's got story ideas, facts and figures for you to use. And then each week has a theme, and each of those have the same kind of things. They got sample articles or stories to do, facts and figures about, and explains brief paragraph why this is the theme for the week. And last year, I was trying to promote this, so we tried to do the theme. That was exhausting for me, David. And really the only problem was I had them all done for each, because I had all the stuff, but then other things came out. And our normal process is not to have this much of a plan. That's way more planning than we have. And so that was hard, is to stick with it and do it. So we're not going to do that because probably there'll be a low news month this year. Compared to last year, it was a lot going on. But I think it's important. We are still doing special things for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And we're going to encourage everyone. We'll mention it every week, all of that kind of stuff. So go out and get it, and we'll go through the weeks. But how much do you want to talk about what we're talking about doing?
Let's throw it out there.
Keep it a surprise.
Throw it out there.
Throw it out there.
Yeah.
Well, we're the 405D task group, they're building a list of things they're going to do with webinars and promotions, and we'll, of course, participate in that and tell you about those as they're announced. But we just this week booked, with any luck, we've confirmed that we're going to have a representative from CISA here, and CISA stands for
Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Awareness.
Agency.
That's what I said.
But he's going to come in. He's going to explain to us a lot of the things that CISA does to help healthcare specifically. And we get to ask him questions about how we can do things and why we can't do more. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awareness. That's what I said. So there's another one we're going to do. I'm not going to, because I think we're going to do a whole different show on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
But there's let's just say it this way. There's ways that you have your junk hanging out online.
Yep.
And there's some resources for that. And so we're gonna cover that in a different episode and show you kind of how your stuff can be found on the search, and then talk about how to get it off of those searches. Yeah. And that's a big deal because
get your SOS.
Yeah, get your stuff off search.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a big deal. People don't realize that typically, if you're targeted, the bad guys are building a profile on you first. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this is how anybody who's looking to really target you, they're going to spend a lot of time profiling you, understanding who you are, mm-hmm. what you do, what you don't do, who you talk to, how you talk to them. I mean, the more they know about you, the more they can use it against you.
And you may not, if people are like, well, I'm not going to be targeted. You have no way of knowing why you could become a target.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The easiest way to get to somebody is to go down 2 or 3 levels in relationship from them and then work your way up.
Mm-hmm. So you have no way of knowing. It could be your job. It could be somebody you know, a family member. It's such a long list of things that you tie. Everybody's connected. We talk about it.
That's the cool thing about LinkedIn is you go there and it's like you're a third connection to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, it's 2, 3 tops, no more 6 degrees of separation in today's world.
Yep.
And so this is Josh, who's going to join us from CISA. This is one of his favorites, get your stuff off search. And it's like Shodan and some other stuff. So that is also, and we may have a special episode with a guest host. So there's a lot that's going to happen in October.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
let's look a little bit at these weekly campaigns, because this is where the magic happens. But you think about it, somebody took the time to break all this down into digestible information that you can hand out, and it doesn't have to be the IT person within your organization. I mean, this is for anybody to take it and use it. So week number 1, be cyber smart. So topic of the show. And, there's no way we can talk enough about cyber hygiene, or what is it you call it now?
Sci-hi. Look, there's Josh. I loved it. It was sci-hi.
Yeah.
Why not?
She just likes being high. Sci-hi.
Sci-hi.
But, again, this rolls into the conversation that we always have to have, that this is not an IT issue.
Not at all.
And if you're looking at Cybersecurity Awareness Month and going, oh, that's great for the nerds. No.
Yeah.
No.
You're not getting the point.
Yeah. No, this is everybody. If you don't want to be part of cybersecurity, then please, by all means, turn in your smartphone and your computers and your laptops.
Disconnect off grid completely.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Go dark. Because other than that, you're part of cybersecurity. Either you're a good part or you're a bad part, but you're a part.
Yeah, whatever it is.
You're either a failure or you're a success with it.
A conduit. You could be a conduit. You don't even know it.
Yeah, but the first week, it starts with the basics. What is your role in cybersecurity? And I don't know that I can stress enough that people have to understand that they have a role. Every single person in your organization has a role in protecting the information and security of systems.
Yep.
Once they understand that, the conversation and the attitudes shift. No more
quickly.
Yeah, because now I'm not having people go, why do I have to have a password? I mean, because I look initially, I look at them like, seriously, that was a dumb question. You're not cyber smart.
Yeah.
But we do see that. I mean, unfortunately, I've seen that recently. We had a client that came to us, a small client, and we started setting up their systems properly. And the first thing they push back on is, Why does everybody have to have their own username and password? I'm like, are you serious? In 2021, people are still asking that question?
Yeah.
We've always had
now you have something you can just hand out to them.
Yeah.
Just give them, do your part, be cyber smart.
Yeah. Because I can rhyme.
All the time.
All the time. So some of the basics that you'll be introduced to is obviously past phrases. And then as soon as you learn about past phrases, the next thing they'll tell you is that past phrases aren't good enough. You have to go into multi-factor authentication and what that is. And then I like when they throw in things that rhyme, like when in doubt, throw it out.
Yeah.
So
that's it. Somebody told me that was the key to supporting Microsoft computers. When in doubt, bail out.
Yeah.
Just reboot. Just bail out.
Escape.
Yeah.
I keep pushing that key, and for some reason, I can't get out of here.
So if you don't do anything else, at least do this week, the stuff for this week, because it has own your role in cybersecurity. Start with the basics.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a little 2-pager, front and back slick is what it could be. However you want to use it, promote that everywhere. If nothing else, do this week.
Yeah, because honestly, if people did these things, what is it, like 8 things? If they just did these 8 things, they would knock out a vast majority of problems.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not complicated stuff. If everybody would do basic cyber hygiene, just that. Now, granted, we just talked about a case where they could still get around it, right? With what Eric reminded us of, but make it hard for them at least.
Yep. Well,
don't leave the door open.
I often talk to clients and tell them that fighting security and cybersecurity is much the same way as fighting professionally. So whether it's UFC or boxing or whatever, the people that have the best success are those people that always fall back to your basics. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people win fights with just a good, clean jab.
Yeah.
It's just something very basic. You learn it from day one. And it's very much the same thing. There's a lot of cool, shiny things out there, and they look great. And sometimes they're extremely effective. But oftentimes, if you just stick to the basics, then you have a great chance of winning.
Well, and it's that way with any type of sports or anything. You always hear about the hitters and they're tweaking their swing, and no, it's a tiny little difference that you can't figure out what you're doing different. Oh, I don't know, like with a microphone that you don't know what you're doing different, but it's suddenly not doing what it has always done, and you have to find that tiny little thing. Okay, if you just stick with the basics, go back to the beginning, start from the beginning, hopefully you're going to find it quicker.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't try fixing problems that you don't even know you haven't defined exist. So quit worrying about, all the people that are like, I don't want this or I don't want that to be shared, yet you're carrying around a smartphone with all the tracking turned on and okay.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't matter what else you do if you're doing that. It's like all your information's out there. It's good. There you go.
Yeah. So week number 2, they jump into fight the fish, the pH fish, not the other fish.
Well, in a minute. Well, there's all kinds of, we know this is huge, and this is why phishing simulation is the number one easiest way to help build that basic cyber hygiene is a simulation test, and hopefully, we all have the stories where it's the same person falls for it over and over and over. Well, fine. But that just means they get less ability to do things. But for some reason, and I don't know that you even know what I'm talking about, but for those of you who do know, you fight the fish with Old Greg, and Bailey's.
And
So,
Bailey's.
For those of you in Bailey's, that is a obscure cult thing. I'm Old Greg. Do you like the Baileys? Do you want some more Baileys? So I will link to this. Really, it's like the day for David. It's a train wreck, but you can't look away. But that's the way you fight the fish. That's all I could think of at that moment. But we know fishing is huge.
Yeah.
So,
and the thing too about phishing is it's moved beyond emails, and it's important to know that text messages you have phishing attempts in it. There's chat boxes that pop up that can have phishing. The other thing too is, and I've seen this happen recently to somebody. The criminals, and this is not phishing, this is malvertising. But it's worth reminding everybody that criminals buy ad space. They buy it in Google ads for search. They buy it in Facebook ads and all these other things. So just because you do a search of something doesn't mean that anything you click on is safe.
No.
My recommendation is never click on the ad stuff at the top of the page. When you do a Google search, the first 2 or 3 things are ads. Don't click on any of those.
Things running down the side.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't click on any of those. Don't do it. So either type it directly into your browser or scroll down to see the non-paid ad version. And it's much safer. But we had somebody call us recently, and that's what they had done is somebody did a search, clicked on the first ad that popped up, and it was malicious.
Yep.
So
and they count on you doing that. And before everybody's like, well, why don't they just stop that? Okay. How are you going to know?
Yeah.
You know, and the way they hide these things now, it's not obvious, or they would be shutting them down. So it is, they're not standing there in the middle of the room going, I'm out here ready to attack you. Please come over and join me. That's not how it works. You know, they're hiding in the corner, snickering as they, put a banana peel down.
Yeah.
Like David did when he was younger.
No, that was the water bucket above the door.
Okay, there you go.
But I did find out that if the door doesn't open just right, the bucket falls straight down.
Oh, ow.
Yeah, and that didn't work too well.
That's going to leave a mark.
But,
okay.
So going into week number 3, this is interesting. I don't know that they did this last year.
They do every year. They do something directly related to careers in cybersecurity.
Okay. So with this one, it's talking about, and this comes from the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, which is nice.
Isn't that awesome? They're so nice.
Yeah.
Nice is nice.
But it's a week-long campaign to inspire and promote the exploration of cybersecurity careers. And trust me, we need people in cybersecurity. There's a massive gap in the need for it and what we have out there. And then even within the people that are doing it, there's a massive gap in the abilities that are out there. It's one of those things that it's progressing faster than we can get people in it.
And so the week's theme is explore, experience, share. But I want to be sure that we say we're not talking only technical jobs that are in part of cybersecurity. There's training, there's documentation, there's so many things. And if you go check out the NICE site, they have a really nice cross-reference that shows you all the different types of careers that are within the umbrella of cybersecurity.
Oh yeah, there are people that are in cybersecurity that are not technical at all. Like they can't hack anything, from a technical standpoint, but they can hack you as a human.
Yeah, and so they're bringing in folks with, say, like psychology degrees, art degrees. They say people with art degrees make excellent security awareness trainers. and participating in those teams and the different things that they do. There are so many areas, of course. We need the people that can do the forensics and all of those things, and that's a whole nother topic.
Yep.
But it is important to note that it's not just those. If you're remotely interested in it from a technical perspective, most people will go check it out, but it's so much more.
Yep.
Even with technical skills, so much more.
Yep. So if you're interested in cybersecurity, but you're thinking, I don't know how to do that kind of stuff or whatever, you might be surprised. So,
or you're thinking, I'm not interested in cybersecurity because I'm not technical. Check it out.
Exactly.
Or you're thinking, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to do something where I can get a job. Check it out.
Where I can get a job. Well, the other thing too is there's a lot to be said about being in a career path where you feel like you're really making a difference.
Oh yeah.
And I've been in both where you see that you're making a difference in people's lives, and then other ones where you're obviously not making a difference in anybody's life. You're just kind of...
You make a huge difference when I needed a sandwich.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, the only time people cared was when it snowed.
Yeah.
Man, I hated
For those
that
of
job.
you that didn't know, David drove a bread truck.
Yeah,
so,
I did. That was that was a dark day in my life.
Day.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, there you go.
But check those things out, and then lastly, it rolls into the last week, which by the way is Halloween week.
But
shout out to our Halloween episode that will be coming up.
We'll have to bring it into this.
Mm-hmm. But this week is cybersecurity first. Not that you took that from me, but cybersecurity first. So it's all about making security a priority, and we talk a lot about having security baked in or creating a culture of security, security by design. Not by mistake or by coincidence.
And they're pointing out that you should not be connecting your toaster and your refrigerator, your Amazon Alexa, or, every time you turn around, we were just playing and testing a scanner thing. It found my watch. Remember, it found my watch. But we wanted it to find those things. But the bottom line is it wants you to think about cybersecurity first before you go say, let me try this new technology.
Mm-hmm. Well, I ran that same scanner in my home, and it found smart plugs.
Yeah.
Which I find it very interesting because I thought the plugs were Bluetooth, but apparently they're connected to my Wi-Fi. But there's no interface. So I'm like, how does this thing connect to my Wi-Fi? But anyway.
Again, if you didn't know it, can you imagine the people that have no clue to even look for it?
The other thing too is some of them were plugged in, years ago, and I forgot that they were behind the couch, plugged into the lamp. Like, oh, I forgot about that thing. And that same thing happens in an office space. You forget things are there. I mean, how many times have you found computers plugged in a closet somewhere?
Oh,
and it's like,
it's just a thing.
Does anybody know this is here? No, we hadn't used that in years. I thought it was disconnected. No, it's running
under a table.
Yeah,
plugged in.
I know. And it's, the smaller computers get, the easier it is for them to be somewhere and plugged in. I mean, now you can stick them on the back of a TV and put it on the wall, and you don't even know it. This TV's got a computer stuck to the back of it. We didn't know it was still there and plugged in.
Well, my favorite story about not knowing where things are is, let's just say an office that I have talked to before moved to a new location, and they had a single device that was going to be decommissioned, but we had to hang on to it because it had PHI on it.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a process, and we couldn't get it done before the move. It needed to happen after the move. So they moved it, and then when they needed it, they couldn't find it. No one could find it. they thought, well, no, we didn't move it. It's still, and then people are wanting to throw up and stuff. It's lost. It's got PHI on it. It's an old device. We couldn't encrypt it. There's a whole litany of things. And then everybody's like, you did it. No.
Mm-hmm.
So we go through step by step, and we find that one time after the move, the device connected to the domain controller, but all you saw was it connect with that name, and then nothing happened, and then it was gone. So, but we knew it was in the building at that point. And they're like, we looked in the closet, we've looked everywhere. The device is not here. It's a computer. And it's an old one. So that means it's not small. And they're looking for it everywhere. And I was like, they're still like, it's not here. And I was like, get back over there. And you do not leave that building until you find it. So they were starting their search. They go through everything. They're having a meeting in the administrator office. I'll just leave it at that point. I don't have to tell you that the device was under a table in the corner of the administrator's office with all the other stuff they still had to put away.
Yeah.
Because guess what? They didn't look everywhere.
I think so far the strangest thing I've found, and this is kind of a reminder, if you ever move into a new office space, I found that it's a really good idea to have IT come in and run a scan of the network before you put anything on there.
True that.
Because we had a client move into a new building. We did a scan of the network, unfortunately, after they moved in.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at all these devices, and kind of to your story, there's this device, and it's a Wi-Fi access point, and nobody's figuring, where's this coming from? First thing I'm thinking is some employee, set up their own Wi-Fi. I'm going to everybody, and I'm like, treating them like they're criminals. Shining the flashlight in their face. Tell me what you did. But come to find out, the previous people had put a Wi-Fi access point in the ceiling, which is common. And they left it there. And so when all the wires got plugged back in to make all the ports live, it made that live too. Mm-hmm. And so we had this Wi-Fi access point that we finally found it in a ceiling tile, which, talk about hard to find.
Yeah. There you go.
But anyway, we found that. So now we actually just had a client email us yesterday. They're moving into another building. And I'm like, okay, don't put nothing in. We want to scan before you start putting stuff in to see if there's anything that got left behind.
And those are the things the intent of the week was talking about connecting IoT, but cybersecurity first is what we should be thinking about in all these cases. Mm-hmm. It drives the two of us crazy that everybody's all about innovation. And then we're like, is it secure? And we're like, we'll worry about that later.
Yeah, that's what got us into a lot of problems we're having today.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can't stress this enough. Talk to your IT people about everything that you're thinking about doing in your business. If you'd be surprised how many decisions that you are tossing around that have to do with IT in some form or fashion, but you don't even realize it. Just like I said, moving into another building, you wouldn't think we probably need to get IT involved before we move in. Most people are like, well, once we get in here, we'll call them and then they'll do everything. No, before. There are so many things you need to do beforehand.
Well, you need to do an inventory of all your devices before you move them.
Yeah.
And an inventory when you get there.
Guess what? There's something in HIPAA that says you should have a process to follow when you're moving devices.
Yes, from one location to another.
Exactly. So you should have policy and procedure around that. It's a requirement.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Somebody knows. So get IT involved frequently and first.
There you go. So cybersecurity first. Think about that before you hook up the really cool new toy.
Yeah.
And also think about it before pretty much anything else you do.
Yeah. Or I found a great deal on this copier at the auction.
I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, I've seen that one, unfortunately, too. We got a great deal on these copiers. We just bought them at this auction.
Yeah.
Plugged them in. They work
Got 'em at
great.
the flea market.
Yeah, I'm like, what? How long have you had these? A couple weeks? Oh my gosh. Anyway, I digress.
Yes.
That is our show for today. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap it up?
No.
All right, good.
Just do your part. Be cyber smart.
That's right. I'm going to do my part and get out of here.
There you go.
All right, folks. Remember to follow us and share us out on your favorite social media site and rate our podcast. Leave us a review. Give me a shout out because you know you want to. Remember for Don and myself, HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.